Howdy YouTube. Quick update on the garden after the storm this past Saturday night. It's now Thursday, May 2nd. These onions have recovered pretty well. My one surviving lettuce plant looked like it was going to take a dirt nap, pardon the pun, and it has kind of sprung back. My watermelons loved the storm, which cracked me up. I mean, they have literally just completely taken off. And the leaf miner flies, which you just saw there, are in full swing. I mean, they're everywhere right now. This one potato plant is still doing good. Raspberry. This is really interesting. I'll make this real quick though. Okay, so this raspberry plant was doing well. Then it took a big nosedive. I cut it way back, and this was the original plant. When I cut it way back, it sprung out these two new branches, and they look very, very healthy, while this one continues to look just strange. Even the new growth that it has on it has got something wrong with the leaves. So I'm thinking about cutting this one all the way back. It's really weird. That is cantaloupe, and it looks like I'm finally going to get some blossoms on there. This is my blackberry bush or vine, and I cut it all the way back after I found out that it had rust on it several weeks ago, and it looks like it's doing well. Garlic did not like that storm. I'm assuming that it got too much water on it, so looks like one of them's not going to make it. The other three are bouncing back. This potato plant, which I've shown several times, that I said I was not able to find out what was eating it. Well, I found out what was eating it. Snails. And if you look right there, I obviously haven't gotten all of them because they're still getting all over the leaves. But I did find them, or at least some of them, and they are now somewhere, wherever snails go when they are not on this earth anymore. So it looks like I got rid of all or most of the leaves that were being eaten on, and it looks like the plant's trying to replace those leaves as quickly as it can. But like I said, the last 2 days, man, look at all these leaf miner flies. It's crazy. There's still some snails out here that I'm going to have to deal with. Okay, moving on. These onions are not doing as well. They're recovering some, but I think they got beat on more than the ones in that container over there. And I'm not sure if it's because water was coming off the roof, or if this is just an open space where the wind was a lot more open. Anyway, on a sad note, one of the feral cats over here looks like it got a baby mockingbird, which happened last year, and that's all that's left of it. So sad. Next, these are the Sun Gold tomatoes that I've been talking about, bragging about now for a while. I think you can see these. I don't want to pull them. I've got them staked. But I've already eaten some of these, and man, are they good. It may be the best tasting tomato I've ever had, and I am not a really a big tomato fan, raw tomatoes, I'll put it that way. These are the plum tomatoes, and they're finally putting on some size and weight. I was scared because both of these in the storm were knocked almost completely out of this container and got really hammered. I mean, they were most of these plants were all over this sidewalk, including this fig tree right here. And a lot of the leaves were really damaged. I had to trim a bunch of the leaves off of this one. They started doing this right here, or this, getting this leaf curl on them. So I'm hoping that that they're going to recover from that. Anyway, moving on. Fig trees, basil, gardenia, peppers, eggplant, and I'm really enjoying this. This is my 3-in-1 apple tree. This is the Anna. This is the Dorset. And I've got a couple more over here that are really nice looking apples. And this is the Fuji, which has no apples because it didn't even sprout out until after these had already flowered and put on fruit. And it has done very, very little. Very, very little. I'm guessing it might try to blossom here in the next month or so. I know it's a late producing variety, but if that happens, there's probably not going to be anything around here close to pollinate it. So, but there is no growth anywhere else on this graft. So I may, unfortunately, after the growing season is over, I may have to prune this one way back to see if I can get it to sprout out some more. This was kind of disappointing. My almond tree continues to look great, although again I lost almost all the blossoms off of everything that put a bloom out in those windstorms that we had here in southeast Texas several weeks ago now, which is disappointing, but the tree looks really nice. I do have some fruit set on this pink navel, page mandarin and caracara, and both those plants are doing well. My sour orange tree is putting fruit on now and continues to blossom. I pruned it back some and it didn't like that. It kind of freaked out, dropped a bunch of blossoms, and I think it's trying to regroup. But it was getting really, really bushy and bigger than I wanted it to. This is my patio tomato, and it is putting on more blossoms, and it has the two remaining tomatoes down here at the bottom. These are this is the other Parks Whopper tomato. This is the one that took the big dive off, and I had to replant it and restake it. Doesn't seem like it's the worse for wear. These are the same Sun Golds. This one and this one over here, the same Sun Gold varieties that I had, and both of them have tomatoes on it. They're just a little bit behind the one down there. One of my Swiss chard plants that I grew from seeds, and my other Swiss chards are doing well. I keep harvesting leaves off of them, and they within 2 weeks they're putting new leaves out. I think this is a tremendous crop for somebody trying to grow stuff to sustain themselves on. I've got peas, and it looks like an Italian pole bean back there. My last remaining lettuce plant, another thing of onions, and then I put in one tomato plant that I grew from seeds in here, and then I still have some mesclun greens. I don't know if they're going to do anything. They're in here, but we'll see. These are the other potato plants. These have done well the entire time and have not been messed with too much by pests. A little bit, but not too much. This is my my newest plant that I got. Got a great deal on it. It's a improved Meyer lemon, and when I bought it, it was just going into bloom, and it already had some fruit set, which you can see right there. And again, here's that other Sun Gold tomato, and I think you can see all the tomatoes in there. It's got a couple of strings of them. And I transplanted one of my eggplants into the ground, and now it is being eaten alive. I'm assuming by snails, because there are no aphids on it. I've put diatomaceous earth, literally covered the plant and covered the ground in it, and so I know there are no aphids anywhere. I look for them. It's got to be snails or some kind of beetle. But it's weird. They're being eaten in the middle of the leaves, not from the edges. But I'm just trying to keep it healthy and see if I can get some fruit off of it in another maybe 6 weeks when it warms up. And this, of course, is another eggplant. This is my 3-in-1 peach, which I already told you is doing great. I'm just not going to get any peaches off of it because all the blooms were knocked off. And this is my La Feliciana peach tree that I thought was dead, and now has sprung to life. I'm not sure I'll get fruit off of it either. It did not blossom. It just put out green shoots, but there's nothing here to pollinate it with that'll be blooming if it does decide to put out blooms anytime soon. I may see if I can go to a nursery with a couple of Q-tips and find something that would work as a pollinator for it, but it's an awfully small tree to try to put any fruit on. Okay, lastly, these are my lettuce starts and spinach starts, and they have really caught on in the last week, especially the lettuce. I mean, it's just really erupted into growth, which is great. And I just shared some with a friend of mine, so I'm hoping that's gonna do well for her and her husband. This is the other Park's Whopper, and these tomatoes are starting to put on some size. And I already ate the first one that had ripened up. Wasn't really happy with the taste of it, but I'm going to let them get a little more ripe before I pick them, and hopefully that'll make a difference. Basil has gone. I mean, it's flowered, so I'm not going to try to use this to cook with anymore. The leaves start tasting bad when it bolts like this, of course. But I'm going to try to let it go to seed. My carrots are doing fine. This is that boxwood basil. This stuff tastes great. I would highly recommend it. You can just use the leaves the way they are. You don't have to cut them up or take them out when you're done. You can just leave them in. They're so small. This Tabasco pepper plant did not like that storm. It didn't help that it was upside down, and I had to replant it. So we'll see what happens with it. This is another tomato plant that I started inside. We'll see. It looks like it's gonna hang on. I hope it does. This was a spinach start, which you can sort of see what's left of it there. So this is not going to make it. It's kind of disappointing. I have not gotten one spinach plant to do well where I live right now. I can get them to sprout out, and I can get them in the ground or in a container, and they seem to do okay, and then they run out of gas, and I don't know what I'm doing different than anything else that I'm doing around here. These strawberries, this is the second and third strawberry that I've been able to get this far. Oh wow, look at that. That's not good. I hope that's a variety of ladybug that I'm not familiar with, but it sure looks like a bad version of a beetle. So I'm not going to kill it, I'm just going to get it away from here. I know there are several different varieties of beetle and ladybug that are beneficial, but that was not cool. So again, this is like the only strawberry plant that I have that's doing anything besides dying. Those are all gone. My pepper plants, these have got little baby peppers all over them. I finally harvested one of the big ones that I have left over here. And again, all these leaf miner flies. But it's got fruit covering it. The other thing of onions, and you can tell that was on its side. I had to replant all of that. I had to replant all these small containers, including that strawberry plant. Everything over here, including this orange tree, was all laying right there after that storm on Saturday. And the water, this is supposed to be a fake dry riverbed. Well, it was not a fake dry riverbed. In fact, it was out of its banks. Came over here. Water was almost covering that big stone right there. I mean, it's still muddy in places, and we're 4 days in with no rain and sunshine every day just about. Anyway, the tree lost a lot of its open blossoms, but it still has a ton that haven't opened up yet. And it dropped a lot of the fruit that it had set. So I don't know what to think about that. This is the tree that I made the video, the double blooming orange tree video that I did several days ago now. So I'm not sure what to think about this. But it's got blossoms everywhere. And the bumblebees love this tree. And I just noticed this, but now this tree looks like it's starting to do a second bloom. It's already got fruit set on it. This is really strange. Anyway, these are really beautiful and they smell great. And I'm hoping I can get some oranges off of them. My lemon trees are just not doing anything. They've got blossoms on them, and they look like they'll put one or two little fruits on, and then they'll all drop off. I mean, it's got more fruit that's dropped off of it than you can see granules of fertilizer in there. So, I don't know. But that's about it. My pomegranate tree, I have tried to do what everybody recommends to do with it, which is ignore it and leave it in the sun. I've given it some fertilizer, a little bit, not too much, a little bit, and the rain hit it on Saturday, and Monday it just took off, standing straight up. Now I know some of that is just osmosis. It pulls up water through the roots, and it can appear like it's growing when all it's doing is it's just completely full of water. Actually, that's the way you can damage a lot of plants, is by overwatering them, not just rotting the roots, but actually stressing the plant out with too much water going up through the plant itself. Tomatoes will make themselves wilt during the day to put moisture down into the roots, and then when it cools off, they'll draw the moisture back up into the plant. But anyway, I'm sure everybody already knows that. But that's it. That's the update. Looks like I'm going to have lots of tomatoes. Looks like my apples are going to have a few fruit. I'm actually maybe going to get some lettuce and possibly some oranges and mandarins. But that's going to be several months down the road. Probably in late fall before that's going to happen. So anyway, like I try to say every time, do what you can with what you have. I'm trying to do that here, and I'm certainly no expert, but if you have just a little space, you can do something, and it doesn't take a whole lot of money. I mean, a lot of the containers I'm growing in are just containers that I had when I bought other plants, and I just kept them. It's not like you have to go buy a bunch of really expensive clay pots. Everything I'm using now is all plastic. So, alright, that's it. Take care.